Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Mets Daily. I'm your host, Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Live. Scan that code, become a Mets Daily Insider member for just $5 a month for exclusive extra off-season content coming after the postseason. Smash that thumbs up on the video right now, comment below, and hit that subscribe button. Of course, the Mariners take a 2-0 series lead over the Blue Jays, and the Dodgers win Game 1. Blake trying to get in the final out after Bryce Terang got out of the way, and he probably had nightmares to that, because if he just took one of the leg there, the game is tied. And to be honest, the Brewers probably are going to end up winning that game. But Dodgers lead 1-0. Blake Snell doing Blake Snell things. Absolutely dominant once again. And let's go. 1-0 Dodgers, 2-0 Mariners. Playoffs, ALCS, NLCS going strong. One guy that is no longer in the playoffs is the ace of the Detroit Tigers, Tarik Skubal. And you know, you got to wonder here, with 1 year remaining in arbitration before Skubal becomes a free agent, is now the time to trade him? You know, do you see any world where the Detroit Tigers are going to sign Tarik Skubal long term? I see none. I see it where they either keep him and he goes to free agency, or they see what they could get for him on the trade market. For the Mets, you know, this is a team that I think is trying to think now, win now, but also think future. And for me, I am in no business of trading the farm for a guy with 1 year left, you know, if you're not 100% certain he's coming back. Now, the Mets obviously have the money to do it, but we know from David Stern's track record, he does not pay starting pitchers long term. Skubal will turn 29 in November, so he's still pretty much in his prime. He's coming off a year where he had a 2.21 ERA. And over the last 3 seasons, he's been one of the best pitchers in all of baseball, putting up great numbers. But really the last 2. You know, we look at the last 2 seasons where he's really gotten into form. 31 starts last year, 18-4, 2.39 ERA. This year, 31 starts, 13-6. with a 2.21 ERA and 241 strikeouts, a career high. So he's really rounded into this ace for the last 2 years. If I'm the Mets, I am not. I am not giving in and trading 3 top prospects and Mauricio, whatever it's going to cost. If you got to trade Ben, Chet Williams, I'm not doing it, because I'm not going for a 1-year pitcher. Paul Skeens a different story, because the guy's under contract or arbitration eligible for a couple of years. You know, he's going to be cheap for a couple of years. That's going to be a little bit of a different situation. But because Skubal could leave next winter, what if he doesn't like New York? He doesn't want to live in New York long term. You know, he's going to have interest from the rest of the league. So I'm in no business to trade for Skubal. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that, so let us know in the comments below. And again, we'll be reading your comments from yesterday's show once again today, as we have been doing all off season. But no thanks. I think the Mets could use a guy like Skubal. They could use a guy that's dominant in October and eats innings, but you're going to trade the entire future and a couple of those future players that might be a part of the 2026 team in order for 1 season. I just do not think it's worth it. There are some decent free agent starting pitchers out there, Ranger Suarez, Michael King, guys we talked about and will continue to talk about. I'm not in the business of trading the farm for him. Talking about free agency, Kyle Tucker, another guy that was in the playoffs that was eliminated of the Chicago Cubs. Now, Kyle Tucker's an intriguing case. This is a guy that when he was traded to the Cubs, you knew it was going to either be a one and done or the Cubs were going to bring him back long term. And if it's a one and done, it's a big miss by the Cubs. But in the second half, I mean, partially due to injuries and just a fall off, Kyle Tucker wasn't the same player. Kyle Tucker had a great first half, led him to an All-Star appearance, his 4th straight All-Star game. This guy still pretty much in the prime of his career at 28 years old. Another free agent, by the way, from Tampa, eyeing a big deal. Sound familiar? Familiar? Cough, cough. Pete Alonso. Kyle Tucker is an intriguing case because of what he's done in his career at 28 years old, to be 29 in January, like I said. And, you know, this is a guy that was a Gold Glove winner. And there's your difference from Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso is never going to win a Gold Glove. Kyle Tucker in 2022, Gold Glove winner, 30 and 107. 2023, 29 and 112 with 30 stolen bases. 2024, dealt with injuries, was 23 and 49. This past year, 22 and 73, 25 stolen bases, 266 average, a 377 on base. 2024, 408 on base. This is a guy who almost average 100 points higher on base versus average. And I think with that good defense, he is intriguing. Now, here's the caveat here with Kyle Tucker in free agency. He's played most of his career in right field. The Mets have a guy signed for 14 more years in right field in Juan Soto. Could your replacement for Pete Alonso be Kyle Tucker in right and moving Juan Soto to first base? That is where the intrigue comes in. Or is Kyle Tucker a DH? Or does Kyle Tucker play left field and you DH Brandon Nimmo? I think there's a couple of options you go with Kyle Tucker, but if he's playing right, you're going to have to tell Juan Soto, hey, you're our first baseman / DH. Or does one of them play left, one of them play right, like I said, and Brandon Nimmo is your DH? There's multiple ways you can go with this. I think if you sign him, you can figure out the positioning. But I would think Kyle Tucker's got to be in right field where he's won a Gold Glove. Do you move Juan Soto to left field and then DH Brandon Nimmo at that point? But they have a Brandon Nimmo, Juan Soto conundrum in terms of where they're going to play if you sign Kyle Tucker. His second half worried me, but the guy is in his prime. He is a winner. He has won. He has that postseason pedigree under his belt. This is a guy that's been in the postseason 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 23, 24, 25. He's been in the postseason every year of his career except 2018. 233 in the postseason, not great, but 9 postseason homers, 29 RBIs. This is a guy that's been there before. He knows what it's like to play in October. You do want winners. The Mets have not bred winning. I do like the winning. I do like the defense from Kyle Tucker. Now, it'll depend on the contract. If you're telling me you can get Kyle Tucker for 4 years and $100 million, I'm doing it. I'm letting Pete go, and I'm getting the better defensive player, and I'm considering moving Juan Soto to first. Or you get Josh Naylor at first and Tucker, a little bit cheaper than Pete still. But I got to see what the number is for Kyle Tucker. That's where this is all going to determine it here for Kyle Tucker. He is not represented by Boras, so maybe it's a bit easier to stomach if you can get him and not have to deal with Kyle Boras. He's represented by Excel Sports Management. What do you think? Kyle Tucker is going to be a very intriguing case in this offseason because he was a monster year from getting like 10 years, $350+ million. But I think his struggles in the second half and a bit of a down year, not too down, but a bit of a down year, might have hurt his stock in free agency. But he is in his prime at 28, turning 29 years old. What do you do? Kyle Tucker's an intriguing case. To me, it depends on the number, but I'm definitely interested. I would definitely be interested in Kyle Tucker because I love the fact that he's played in the postseason every year of his career. That's what the Mets need. They need winners here. Juan Soto came in here as a winner. Obviously, it didn't work for the Mets as a whole, but I don't think that's on Soto. You want winning players and guys that are used to October, and Tucker's one of those guys. So that's why I'd be intrigued by Kyle Tucker. All right, folks, your comments, make sure you leave them below. We're going to read from Monday's Mets Daily on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe. We appreciate your support. Let's go. Going to Monday's show. The numbers have been great. Keep watching, folks. Keep sharing as well. If you know a Mets fan who wants daily Mets content over the whole offseason, we're the only ones doing it in a bite-sized piece, 10 to 15 minutes a day. Show's been a little bit longer because we're going through all the comments. So let's go. Here we go. From Guitar Easify, it won't be up to Stearns as Cohen will handle Alonso's contract. Cohen is smart enough to know Pete carried this team for the first half and also clutch hits most of the year. They will lose attendance in games without Pete. He'll get a 5-year day for a bunch of money with the Mets, and he'll take it. Listen, he might. You're right. But I don't want to hear they're going to lose games without Pete. They lost games with Pete this year. They've lost games with Pete almost every year outside of 2 seasons in a Mets uniform. Don't tell me Pete helps them win because the stats don't show that at all. They have 2 winning seasons with him here, and one of them was the worst season of his life. So I don't want to hear the winning part. You can tell me about attendance. Fans going to walk out because Pete's not back, fine. But I'm going to trust the team to replace him and put out a winner because this is not a rebuilding team. From Frankie 515 PR, they should forget about Japanese player. Look what he's done with Senga and the rest going with the Dodgers and Cubs and Boston. I wouldn't base off a couple things. By the way, Senga, when he's healthy, he's been pretty good. It's not like he's been bad. He just hasn't been healthy. And Shohei Ohtani, has he been good? He's only, a generational player. I know he's one of one. but I wouldn't say every Yamamoto has not been terrible. I think that's a bad generalization to make. But yeah, I mean, he's probably going to end up in the West Coast, Murakami. Radiant Valorant OP, a desperate team will give him 6 and will not give him 7 guaranteed. He's more likely to get a 5 with an option for 6 or incentive based. I could see him getting 4 with a 5th-year option. Ethank I4930 Murakami very unlikely to end up in New York. Every person from MPB I'm running under the assumption until proven otherwise they will land with the Dodgers / West. He also says his love of the Yankees to cross him out. I'm not going to cross him out because the Mets scouted him. But again, you're not wrong, Ethan, that he could end up on the West Coast. Kenneth Flood 6106. Most he gets is 5 years. I agree. I think the max Pete Alonso's getting from any team is 5. I don't think 6 or 7 is happening. Someone on SNY put out the Mets should give him 5 for 187. I mean, what are we talking about here? You're going to give Pete Alonso $37 million a year? No shot. On this planet, he doesn't play defense and he's slow. I get the offensive numbers, but $37 million a year, that's an overpay to me. If you're doing that, you're not doing it because David Stearns is not doing it, and neither is Steve Cohen. It's not happening. So 5 for 187 is just insanity. If he ends up with that, good for him and his family. But my God, the Mets would look stupid giving him that much money. All right, Rebecca Walsh, 6921. I believe that ultimately Alonso signs with the Mets. Cohen will not let another contending team take away one of the homegrown great Mets. Stearns follows suits in the deal that if it doesn't pan out for the organization, that Cohen will not hold it against him. Will take the financial loss. 6-year, $150 deal. I mean, 6 years, $150 is $25 million a year. Is he going to take that? I don't know. I think that's too many years, but it's not a terrible price if you're given $25 million a year. So I think Pete's going to want 30 plus. That's the issue on that front. From Ari Grossman, what Peter Alonso did seconds after they put up 4-0 score from a team they should have him defeated, but turned out to be one of the worst teams in Mets history and being lame dunk buns. A friend to demand more money. At the moment, I've written this off my ambitions to make Pete Alonso part of this franchise. I said this 2 years ago. The first thing you do is development of a baseball team is to maximize your pitching staff. Then and only then get the Juan Soto's, David Stearns, and more. Enough said. I mean, I don't know how to respond to that, Ari. I mean, listen, like I said, guys, I don't think the Mets need Pete Alonso to get better. Simple as that. I think that, everyone responds to me when I say that in my comments and TikTok is how do you replace him? There are other players out there from winning teams. Josh Naylor's team, free agent, is in the ALCS, 2 wins from a pennant. I mean, Kyle Tucker was in the playoffs. He's out there. I mean, there are other players, guys, out there. Yandy Diaz put up almost similar numbers with no money, and the Rays almost finished with the same record as the Mets. So don't tell me there's no other first baseman out there. The Mets will fill that hole just fine. You're watching Mets Daily. Hit that subscribe. Hit that share. I'm your boy Jake Brown at Jake Brown Live. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Thanks for watching Mets Daily. We'll see you tomorrow.